Welcome to the Deep Dive. We explore fascinating stories from sources you, our listeners, provide. Today, we're diving into the Ramayana, a truly epic cornerstone of Indian culture, but we're focusing on something maybe less explored. Our listener sent sources about these unseen stories, facets hiding in, regional versions, folktales.
Exactly. Things that aren't always in the main narrative you might know.
Right. And our mission today, to really unpack one of these, the incredible devotion of Shabari.
It's a fantastic example because while the main story of the Ramayana is so well known, these other accounts, they often give like unique angles and deeper insights into the core messages, layers you might miss otherwise.
Okay, so let's get into it. Who was Shabari? I mean, she's often just described as an old tribal woman, right? A devotee of Lord Rama.
She was, but that's just scratching the surface. She does appear, yes, briefly in the Valmiki Ramayana,
Yeah.
but her backstory, her decades of really deep penance, that's explored much more profoundly in other texts. Think the Adhyatma Ramayana Bhakti literature.
And the core of her story is this waiting, isn't it? Waiting for years, just living simply on forest fruits, all driven by this one single hope.
This consuming hope, yeah, that Lord Rama would, during his exile, actually come and bless her small hut.
Imagine that focus, that faith.
It's truly compelling. And it wasn't just passive waiting.
Mm.
It was this active, daily practice of devotion.
And here's where it gets really interesting, something maybe not everyone knows. The story of Sage Matanga and his challenge. Apparently, when Shabari first went to him, wanting to be his disciple, the other students, well, they weren't very kind.
No, the sources say they mocked her because she came from a tribal background, which at that time was unfortunately seen by some as a low caste.
But Sage himself,
He saw something different. He looked right past those societal labels. He recognized her pure heart, her bhakti, that deep, selfless devotion.
and he tested her.
He did. He gave her this really unusual task, not some complex ritual, but simply clean the ashram path every single day because one day God himself will walk on it.
Wow. Every day.
Every day. For decades, apparently. Can you imagine cleaning that forest path each morning, laying out flowers, using water, just performing this simple duty with absolute devotion?
And she never knew when. She just believed. That persistence. It's
It
extraordinary.
really is. And if you dig a bit deeper, connect this to the bigger picture.
Mm.
This test wasn't just symbolic either. Some ancient texts actually mention the divine beings would sometimes visit her ashram secretly, disguised to test her resolve.
Seriously, like little pop quizzes from the gods.
Sort of. And she passed every time. How? By consistently offering whatever she had, food, water, respect to everyone, even the smallest, most humble-looking guest.
That adds another layer completely.
It does. And it really drives home the lesson, doesn't it? For her, and maybe for us too, that true devotion sees God in everyone. It's about valuing that inner worth, not just external appearances or status. A pretty radical idea, especially back then.
Okay, so that sets the stage for maybe the most famous part of her story, the berries. You've probably heard this bit. Shabari offering berries to Rama, but tasting each one first to make sure it wasn't sour.
And that act itself, tasting food before offering it.
Mhm.
Well, in strict interpretations of dharma, traditional duty or conduct, that's a big no-no. It's considered impure uchishta.
Right, highly controversial. But Rama's reaction.
He just smiled and accepted them lovingly. No judgment, no lecture on protocol.
Why? What does that tell us?
It tells us he saw beyond the act, beyond the rules. He saw the intention. It wasn't really fruit she was offering him, was it? It was her pure, unadulterated love, her sacrifice distilled into that simple gesture.
Love over ritual.
Precisely. In fact, some legends go even further. They say even divine food in heaven couldn't match the taste of Shabari's berries.
Think about that. Heavenly food, supposedly perfect, couldn't compare to simple berries offered with pure love.
It really underscores the power of that pure intention, doesn't it? Almost like a deliberate point being made against rigid adherence to rules when love is present.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've unpacked these unseen parts of her devotion, the context, the test, the meaning behind the berries. But let's bring it home. What's the real takeaway here? What's the hidden message in Shabari's story for us listening today?
Well, I think the unseen story of Shabari powerfully demonstrates that things like caste, birth, even how much knowledge you have,
Yeah.
none of it really matters when compared to pure bhakti, pure devotion. True love for the divine, it isn't really seen in elaborate rituals or social standing. It's seen in selfless actions, in a pure heart and genuine connection.
So it's about prioritizing that inner purity, that genuine feeling over just the external markers or what society expects.
Exactly. It's a pretty profound lesson, I think.
It really is. Shabari's deep dive definitely reminds us about the power of that kind of selfless devotion, and maybe also about those unseen tests in our own lives that shape who we become.
Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. In our world today, which is often so focused on, appearances, status, the external stuff, how might we try to embrace that spirit of Shabari? How can we actively work to value genuine connection, pure intention, above those societal pressures or what things look like on the outside?
Something to definitely think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.